Well, there you are again, Charlie Greer podcast today. So, reformed Wildman, perhaps. If you want to help the podcast, info is in the description for Cash App. My handle is Charlie Greer Podcast. Let's do this. So, reform Wildman. There's a bunch. I'm not the only one. A lot of these YouTubers are reformed wild men. And I went to wild man in the sense of robbery, violence, stuff like that. I mean, granted, you got to be able to handle yourself. I mean, I lived in Hollywood for 24 years. See, I'm peacocking. I always say like a lot of the same shit. I know this, but this is my podcast and my story. So, Tina, hey, what's up, Tina? So I was never like a thief, not stealing cars or wasn't violent. I wasn't robbing people, didn't deal drugs. I'm talking about wild man as far as like not having a 9-to-5 job, living an artist's life. Technically, pardon me, being wild, running the streets, drinking beer during the day, smoking herb and art shows and bad boy meeting on Delphi Primetime. What's up, man? Thank you for joining in. But it was always about fun with me. Like, let's have a good time. My house was always, there was always the goings on. I knew from the time I was a teenager that I could see how people were living their lives. And I wanted to be a creative person. I mean, people are construction workers, people are doctors, people are whatever. I wanted to live life, run wild, if you will. I'm also like a child of the 70s and a teenager of the 80s, which was, I'm so grateful. Being a kid of the 70s was just amazing. Everything, we all have our, bumps in the road. And then like a teenager of the 80s, awesome. You could get away with a lot more. Delphi Primetime, I bet you ran your yellow lights, Charlie. Perhaps I've ran a yellow light. How about you, Delphi Primetime? I used to be a muscle car guy. I had a 72 Plymouth Satellite, an ex-cop car. It was so cool. I spray painted it black and put flames on the hood and had Leonard Skinner, like I paid extra for like the license thing. Anyway, then my first real muscle car, well, that was a muscle car, but I had a 1969 Chevy Malibu SS. The best car I've ever owned. I sold that to finance my life in LA. Sold that in 98. That car would be worth probably $45,000, $60,000 now. Then when I got to LA, my first car, I lucked out. I was down on Venice Boulevard, but east, like near downtown. And there was used to be these old funky like car lots. And I got what's up, kid? I got a 1972 Mustang Fastback. And it had what was that motor? A rear motor, and everything was blue underneath the hood. It was a big block. It was was it Cleveland or something? I only got 8 miles to the gallon, so driving around in Hollywood, LA traffic, and this thing. You were going to gas station to gas station. A great car. It was like a burnt orange chrome with a black stripe down the middle. Then I sold that to join the Screen Actors Guild. I had to come up with like $2,000, and I sold that to the guy that played Superman in Smallville. He bought that for me in like 99, maybe 98. But yeah, I ran wild in that Mustang Fastback. Matter of fact, I have friends that would like I'd get them in the car, and it was a big block. I mean, this thing was, and so a 351 Cleveland was it or something, or 390 Cleveland? Who knows? Big block. And they would never get in the car with me again. I ran crazy in that. If you're gonna run around crazy in a muscle car, back in the day, the best streets to run were Hollywood. Man, we'd be in Hollywood in a big block and pull it up, a big muscle car in front of the bar, like at Coaching Horses or somewhere on Sunset, and just good times. Not the name drop, but I'm gonna. One night I pulled up, and I pulled up my muscle car. There was people that pull up for some reason that we could park. It was a bunch of muscle cars. I pulled my muscle car up, and the guy from a punk band, 10-foot pole, I think it was called, or 10-foot. Anyway, he had his, and then who else had a muscle car? But anyway, the not the name drop, but the drummer of Chili Peppers, Chad, I think his name is. Cool dude. This is like 98. Well, hell, he took me in the Coaching Horse and bought me beer all night. Cool dude. Big dude. I'm 6'2". Shit. Master P. That's how I got my first. I got the Taft Hartley. He gave me that's how I got my SAG card, Master P. Cool guy. Years later, when I ran into him, he remembered. He didn't know my name, but he was like, "Yeah, I know you." Cool dude. Great guy. And at the time, his brother C. Murder was a cool dude too. Now he's in jail for like fuck. Kid says undercover brother and Master P at lunch. Yeah, they. I was in a movie called Foolish with Eddie Griffin and Master P, and it's either Foolish or Foolish Ways. It's been like I think released twice. What's his name? Andrew Dice Clay's in it. A bunch of it, and so I have a praying hands tattoo, and that's their logo of what was it called? Their label, whatever. And I didn't know, and they're like, "Hey, man, who are you?" And I'm like, you connect, and then they're like, "Come eat with us," and they ate like hillbilly food. They like grits and greens and biscuits, and I was like, "Yeah." But technically, I was SAG eligible. I'd already done a commercial and Dope Fight Prime Time. I ran into Bobby Sherman at the Brown Derby, and he bought me a Mai Tai. Awesome. The Brown Derby. Which one? Which Brown Derby? Because there was a few of them out there. Like the original one, I think, was on Hollywood Boulevard, and then there was one in the Valley. There was still one around. I went to a couple. I think it was the one in like North Hollywood because they had a few. The original, cool, right? What's that bar on Hollywood Boulevard? It's right beside the theater there. It's not the Dresden Room. It's anyway. I used to love those dive bars on Hollywood Boulevard, Sunset, wherever. In the Dresden, I think that's the one with they shot that movie Swingers, where that couple play music, staying alive. I miss those days. Rent, LA hadn't went that crazy yet. Rent was still cheap. I mean, compared to now. And you could work part-time and just get by, or you could do what I did, which was dip your beak in a few things, art shows, bands, you're acting. Every once in a while you might get a gig and you stash away your money, and then you're eating dollars, a street dollar tacos, $1 street tacos and cheap beer, and they'd sell illegal cigarette, this that kind of thing. But yeah, reformed. I mean, I'm 52 now. I could never do the grind, if you will, of shit. I mean, I would leave my house at maybe 10 in the morning, and I'd get home at I had a dog. Sometimes I would just cruise back home, walk my dog a few times, and then hang out and go to parties, and you run into people that don't have Keith Kellogg, Charlie. You're not supposed to be putting your hands under your toolbox. Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? So Tina, we're the same age, Charlie. My birthday is later this month. Awesome, happy birthday. And then there's rich people out in LA, and they want some street cred or artistic mojo, so they will like there used to be a bunch of them. And well, hell, they come up to me like, let's rent a house together. Like, a lot of they want, like, I hate to say it, but like they want the life, the girls, the goings on. And people come from all over the place. Small town USA, moved to Hollywood for God knows what. And I want to be this, that, the other. And I'd already been in some bands that had done this and that. I'd made a film. I'd written a script that had won some awards. I've been in Love Engineers. By the time I got out there, I was all kind of already like jaded, if you will. I'd been dropped twice by 2 labels. I'd had representation. I'd had management. I'd studied this, that, and Center for Contemporary Arts. Anyway, Delphi Prime Time. I bought my house in Pasadena brand new for $12,500, but still couldn't afford my gas money. Wow, you bought a house? I lived in Pasadena for 6 years. I lived off Colorado on El Nido, the Nest, near. Well, now there's a big Target down. It's like East Pasadena. I love Pasadena, man. And the reason I moved to Pasadena in 2010, I think it was, because I just had to get away from the grind of, and I wanted like bigger streets, and because Pasadena is kind of like a college town, it's close enough to LA to get in there. I mean, Hollywood to get in and out, but I'd spent like by then 12 years of just like, dear, my goodness. And I found this little studio apartment, like 1 room, but a really nice neighborhood. So I was there for like 6 years until the inspectors came around, and it turned out it was an illegal dwelling. I think I've told this story. And long story short, they were supposed to pay to move me. They didn't. The city got behind me and actually gave me a list of lawyers. I got a lawyer. I won. I won some money out of that. Because this is the thing in LA, they got these really good like renter laws. And if you rent, I didn't know this, but if you rent an illegal dwelling, well, you owe all the back rent. Every dime that you paid in rent, if it's an illegal dwelling, the renter is. So I settled for half. I got like thousands of dollars. Like shit, how much did I have to get? But yeah, I'm sitting there one day in Pasadena, la 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 la, nice Pasadena. Knock on my door, open the door, and there's these inspectors with like their little lanyards on and laminated. Hey, we're here with we're every. I don't know. I think it was every 6 years, every 10 years, we have to do these inspections. I was like, yeah, come on in. I've been there for 6 years. And they immediately came out like, oh, this is a legal dwelling. And they had like the blueprints. They're like, this is not supposed to be an apartment. What do you mean, man? This is my home. You got 72 hours to move out. 72 hours? I've been here 6 years. Well, call your landlord. He showed up. He was mad. So like, look, you got to pay to move him, or we're going to give you an $8,000 fine. And he was this rich millionaire guy. He's just like, he took the $8,000 fine. And I think it was only like $3,000 to move me. Thank God he did that. Because then they were like, hey, we can help you. Here's a list of lawyers. And they took it on a contingency. And I think I had to split the money with the lawyer. I didn't get all the money, but I couldn't afford a lawyer. So contingency. What are you going to do? Hey, fine. Take half the shit. Half of something is better than zero, nothing. Buddy Rich, I thought you were going to say you were dropped by 2 girls. More than 2 girls. Shit. You have 2 girls. So 2 girls, dropped by 2 girls. So I used to date a lot, just like you're around Hollywood. There's so many beautiful women. And I was doing art shows and my band. And every once in a while I'd get like some kind of a lot of my acting was like pilots that never were picked up or UCLA film that um but I was seeing this girl who was an heiress to, I'm not going to say what. So she was a trust fund kid and she had two different color eyes, one brown, one blue. And we got along, but she was in, they called her crazy, but and of course she had all this money. Uh, so we were, how can I say this? So we were that day hanging out all day. That night there was a big party in like Echo Park, big place. So she's like, I don't want to, she even told me this. She's like, look, I don't want to be seen with you because, I like you and everything. But then again, you got a reputation, don't be seen. I got to piss me off. Like, man, then go in. She's like, once you wait, then go in, and I'll wait. So she went in and I didn't know what was going on. So when I walked in, I was like, Charlie, hey, and then she's kind of got like, well, and then there was another girl who was rich and she was also a singer. I'm not going to say who she was. And she had a Porsche. So I lived with the girl with the Porsche. Good times. I mean, shit, she offended me. Like, I don't want to get this day. I don't want people to know. Well, I mean, I might leave with another girl that's driving a Porsche. I mean, what are you going to do? What does this say? Keith College, Pat's girls. So I'm a little slow. But I don't regret a thing about certain, there were times where when LA started getting, after like the 2000s, LA started getting real expensive. Now everywhere's expensive. I've been gone for over a year, about like, let's see, it's been a year. It was a year in March. It's about like 14 months I've been back. Even bad areas are real expensive. And people will, there's all these like scams in LA or like kind of, hustles. Pardon me. So what people will do will rent an apartment. I don't see how they get away with it, but the renters laws are so good. They have squatter laws now. You can rent a place. It takes them 90 days before they can even serve you. Then you have another 90 days. So you can get like 6 months free rent. People do that. But they'll rent an apartment, put in bunk beds everywhere, the living room, the bedrooms, and then rent charge $500 a bunk bed. It's crazy. That's what they do for a living. Delphi Primetime, California, the 50s was the best. I used to date Carmen Miranda for 6 months. Awesome. Good times. Damn, Carmen Miranda. I bet you did have a good time. California in the 50s. How old are you, Delphi Primetime? I mean, I'm old. I'm 52. I'm not trying to age shame or anything. But yeah, I got to see. So I moved to LA in March of '98. I got to see the tail end of old Hollywood. It really started changing around like 2008, like around 2008, 2009. That's when everything like it's got real expensive, and they started tearing everything down and making Starbucks. And I'm 96. Hey, you made it. So every once in a while I would get a job. I would like just get tired of like, dear God, I need to, or, so I would, I've been a photo editor for like a major agency and a famous photographer. Of course, I waited tables. You can make bank doing that. I used to work in, what was that place? Right near the studios there. And I worked in this French Korean cafe during the day. I just do the lunch shift. It's like only 3 or 4 hour shifts. You could make 200 or 300 in a shift. So you could work 3 or 4 days a week, and you're making more money than people that are like, shit. Yeah, good times. Uh, so I lived right at the tail end. I lived in what's called Arcadia. Arcadia is like right next to Pasadena. Again, it's like a small town. It's still in LA, and the racetrack is there. That's where that's the racetrack they shot, like, Vacation. They've shot whatever, and the Arboretum is there, and that's where they shot, the Creature from the Black Lagoon or whatever, and Fantasy Island and all that, because I wanted to get away. I want to be close enough to the craziness, but I wanted to get the hell out. After a while, you just want like a normal life. You want like peace, because there's living in Hollywood, like say in a building or even like a little house. They're so close together, and man, there's like you can hear 30 radios going, and just all the shit, and people asking to use your shower, and yeah, fuck that. Years of that, you're just like, I need a break. Free Kellogg, prime time. Did you fight for the North or South? Yeah, well, shit. I mean, you're 96. Buddy Rich, the oldest dog in the world, had a birthday today, 31 years from only eats him. I what did I see that? I did see it, maybe my Facebook feed. That dog, bless his heart, 31 years. Well, that's every year of a dog, like 7 years. So what is that? 200 and something years old, dog years. Shit. My dog now is 13. Is she 13? No, 11. She's 11. Then Mr. Simon, my dog Simon, I put down in October. He was like 16 or 18. And I've told this story. He was left by an old roommate. I had a lease on a 2-bedroom house. They had a roommate, left her dog, and I was like, well, no. And her family came to get her stuff. I was like, no, they're going to take him to the pound. I was like, fuck you. You ain't taking him to the LA pound. They're going to, no. And he was mean at the time. I'd never even petted him. Yeah. But I sweet talked him with snacks, and I had him for 6 years. Matter of fact, he's buried in Scotty Beers. Well, Mama Beers. They let me bury my dog. Yeah. Bless their hearts. Scotty lived with me in LA in 98, I think it was, or 99. And he wasn't ready for the whole, and I had moved into Echo Park, which wasn't as hipster as it is now. Now it's like a hipster kind of woo party. Now, not like that back then. And you hear like gunshot, like automatic fire, and he must got hit by a bus. Yeah, but he did get one acting gig. He got in a pilot that never got picked up. It's funny because he came out to live with me. I had an agency that I was working through, so I hooked Scotty up with this agency, and they loved him. They'd get him work when I was like, hey, what about, that happens though. And then you can spec. So they'd send me on speculation. They call it spec. Just go. Maybe they'll work because I was union. Like they have to have so many union people by law, And sometimes I would. They just show up, and then they would, hey, put him in wardrobe, slap a beard on him, whatever. But those are far. You think like you get like a first, like I was the drummer in The Beat Goes On, the NBC Sonny and Cher kind of biopic, and I played the drummer. I was cast for the whole movie, but then they fired me. They fired a bunch of us. You start making good money. I never made that kind of money because that at the time it was like $1,250 a day. That was the day rate for the Screen Actors Guild, and I was like, oh my god! So you start. I worked like 4 weeks on it. So before I got fired, I'd have made more. But anyway, you think once you do that, like, wow, it's coming in. This is how it's going to be. Well, no. It's just like, well, and then once the thing comes out, I'm edited out of, like, you spend 4 weeks and I'm in it for like a second. I don't know if a lot of people tell you that, but like most of the stuff I've done, never to be seen. There's movies I've worked on for weeks and I'm not even in the fucking movie. But I don't care. After a while, it's like, you know, your ego. You're like, I want to be in them. I want to put that for my reel. But man, after you just want the money, you know. And after I got that money from the beat goes on, well, I partied like a sailor on shore leave. I was like buying raspberry beer and, you know, had a big party at my house for like a couple weeks, maybe. Like a never ending party. Again, it's Hollywood. You want to, you know, you want to go to mansion parties. You want it when you first go out there. And then by the time I wouldn't even know when. I was out there 24 years. I got invited, so I wouldn't even go because it's just like, well, the thrill is gone. Like, how many? No, I know it's going to be. You got to park and then walk, or they want you to park in a parking lot and get on some van to get. You're stuck up there. Delphi Primetime, I got edited out of my second wife's wedding pictures. Yeah, well, that happens. Yeah. I don't like going to weddings, man. Matter of fact, yesterday, it was Mother's Day. I was invited to some kind of like family. I didn't go. I have social anxiety around like normies, if you will. I know that's like, it's just, it's what it is. I'm a reformed wild man. Shit. I feel comfortable around other said reformed wild people, not men, but women, and you know, it's not at all. I think I said this Friday. Like, it's not what you think. It's even the money is not what you think, and people are jealous of certain accomplishments you make, and sometimes the money doesn't come around. Like in the Love Engineer days, we were playing out of town, and every band wants to go to Chicago and Milwaukee and Detroit and St. Louis and Indiana, wherever the fuck we were at. And because they're struggling, you know, they want to get. And I remember I went to we were in Milwaukee, and the club owner like pulled a gun on me. It didn't pay us. We got stiffed, and then I had to gas and go from Chicago to Champaign Urbana. A long story, but I got home, and I would just hang out with other bands. I knew every band, you know, whatever, and on my old band, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And they were like jealous. And I go, dude, I got a gun pulled on me. Like, it's not like a, you know, don't be coattail riding off my fucking misery. Shit. Reformed, yes, kid. Buddy Rich, Beatles went to Germany for years. Yeah, they started in Germany. They were matter of fact, I think they went, I think it was George Harrison that was underage, so they got kicked out or something, then they went back. That's when they used to wear leather. The Beatles in the beginning were like, and that's when they had Beat Pest too. They wore all this leather. And yeah, I love the Beatles. Pardon me. And Pete Best, the first drummer of the Beatles. There's a story, but he looked like Elvis or something. He was like a good-looking cat. He was getting all the attention. Supposedly, the story I hear is George Harrison, when they first got management, like Brian Epstein, whatever their manager was named, John Lennon went to him and said, "Find me the ugliest drummer you can find that won't steal the girl." And they got Ringo Starr. Poor Pete Best. And shit, I think he's still alive, Pete Best. Can you imagine getting kicked out of the fucking Beatles? Then you got to see them conquer the world. And that must have been a kick in the nuts. Hey, I mean, shit, you know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Well, I love the Beatles, and I like this is the thing. I like the poppy early Beatles. When they start getting like psychedelic, like everybody likes these, you know, the White Album. I mean, that's good, but man, I love like, you know, da 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 da. You know, she loves you, yeah, all that like cheesy pops. That's what I like. That's just me, my humble opinion. I like them when they were kind of, innocent but they um so Kennedy was killed. John F. Kennedy was killed in like November '63. The Beatles were on Ed Sullivan in February of '64, and they were like scared to come to America. Like, what are they going to do to it? And they got their plane got shot up and stuff. People weren't ready for that. The next day, when the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan, so the story goes, the next day, every guitar in America was sold. Every music store that sold guitars and basses and drums sold everything. That's what a bomb that went off, kind of like every guy, I want to be a Beatle. And even like rock, heavy metal guy, they saw the Beatles. I want to be the. When I met Lemmy from Motorhead a few times. He came to my gig at the Rainbow, but I talked to Lemmy, and he's like, the Beatles. He was a huge Beatle fan. Ozzy Osbourne. I've met Ozzy a few times, and his favorite band was the Beatles. Same thing with Lemmy. And when I met Ozzy, he called himself John. I guess his real name is John. He was like, I'm John. Ozzy. I love Ozzy. But yeah, I hung out with Ozzy a few times in the 90s. And he had two security guys. And they, at the time, that these old haggard, cell phones. His wife, Sharon, his manager's wife's manager, whatever, everything. What's Ozzy? It's Ozzy. And he's like, he's just trying to get away from her. And Ozzy told me that he liked me because I never would mention. I never talked to him about music at all. I never, because I knew everybody around. Every time I was around him, we were in there's other people around. It wasn't just like me and Ozzy. And Ozzy, and some of these guys are other rock stars. Like, oh, we opened for you. We remember the time and he'd be like, go fuck yourself. Like, he didn't want to be. He always wanted to be John. He wanted to. Once in a while, you need a little bit of leave alone and just kind of be normal. I've respected Ozzy or John for that. Yeah, good times, being reformed, Wildman. It don't look good on the resume to be a like my creative resume in certain circles. Well, I haven't used it in a while. I can't use my creative resume. I have to have like my normie resume, like my job resume, and I have a job now. I'm doing like I work 9 to 5, actually 8 to 3. Well, 8 to like 3:30. I met Al Jolson when I was a shoe shine kid. Always gave me a $5 tip. Georgie Jessel was a jerk. Georgie Jessel. Mama, this is Georgie. I can't believe nobody's going to get these references, right? I know who Georgie and Al Jolson. Georgie Jessel, see? That's old school. Georgie Jessel. God, what's his name? The comedian was always like mentioning Georgie Jessel. Anyway, Georgie Jessel was a jerk, though, right? My mom, Buddy Rich says, my mom met Jerry Reed in a Mars supermarket in Speedway. Speedway, okay. Jerry Reed. Al Jolson, mama. Never met Al Jolson or Georgie Jessel. I'm 52. That's way before. Would love to, though. See, those guys made a lot of money. Those old like entertainment guys, entertainment, Hollywood. They blew through it though. They living in some kind of mansion, think that's going to last forever. Yeah, right. Not really. I had friends that were, uh, doing better, and some of them lived outside. They always, and then some of them knew what, because again, how big of a place do you need? I mean, you want to, there's only so many rooms you can hang out in. Shit. Gilbert Godfrey, that's he always would do Georgie Jessel, and he passed last year. Poor Gilbert. I love Gilbert Godfrey. But yeah, I had friends that would, and I've dated people that were, you know, doing better than me, and they get a pretty big house, but don't like if you got a mansion. Again, you're not there's not enough time in the day. All these empty rooms and shit. It's hard to fucking heat the place and cool it. Get like a small meeting and save your money. Fuck. Shop at Trader Joe's instead of Pink Dot. I don't know if you know in Hollywood, there's all these Pink Dots like the dumb, but you can order from Pink Dot. You literally can get like them to bring you a fifth of Jack Daniels and 2 packs of Marlboro Reds. How do I know this? Because I've done it or used to, and but they charge you more. You have to pay, then you have to tip, and then there's bigger ones. You'll get like a big book, and you can buy clothing and food and God knows what, probably cars too. I mean, shit. I dated a girl at the time who was she had some fame, and she well, that's what she was used to. And then I took her to like Trader Joe's. Like, let's just go to the grocery store. And she spent like $400, had enough shit, like and she was like, "Oh my god!" She thought it was so, and they recognized her at the Trader. This is awesome. How do I not know about this world? Well, you've been in your bubble of what was it? She was like a because she had business managers, and she was complaining that they broke it daily. They broke it down for what she could spend because she anyway 1,700 a day, and she was complaining about. I go 1,700 a day. You know how much fun we're gonna have on 1,700 a day? Oh, I'm not you. So I had to show her how to. Uh, I can't say much. Um, but she was like, "Oh my god!" I showed her how to not deal with this Hollywood kind of thing where they charge a fortune for everything and live a normal life. This is awesome. I bet to this day she's living frugally. Well, frugal, I mean 1,700 a day. Like that's I mean, even if you spent like 100 a day, you're living pretty good, you know? Maybe 200, but I'm just saying, like back then, this was in 2000, probably like 2007. And she complaining that she could only spend 1,700 a day. Delphi Primetime Jack Webb was a good guy. I swear he smelled like weed. Always talked about jazz. Well, jazz, the word jazz is actually a like a slang for H for the horse for heroin. And I bet he did smell like weed. A lot of jazz. Yeah. I don't smoke weed anymore. I used to smoke a ton of weed. I used to grow weed. It was legal to grow in LA. I'd grow up in my backyard. My landlord knew I grew weed. Matter of fact, when I left, man, I left perhaps like 5 pounds of bud. By then, I wasn't smoking. I would just like put it in a big bag and sit it on my. I had in my kitchen. I had different like shelves or whatever. One of them was just packed with weed. Then my last roommate, I taught him how to grow weed, and I would trade it for gear and stuff. I was like, fuck it. But I don't smoke weed. I haven't smoked weed shit. Used to love to smoke weed. Not anymore. Yeah, you won't catch me smoking any weed. But I'm older, man. It doesn't do what I, fuck. Get in your 50s, you're still smoking weed. Hey, if you smoke weed, cool. But for me, it just wasn't. Weed changed on me. It made me sleepy and like kind of groggy. I didn't like that. Delphi prime time back then, you could make 100 a week. You were golden, 20K a year, and you were upper class. Yeah, back then, you know. When I first moved to LA, the first house that you go through the recycler. The recycler used to be like a newsletter, and you're looking for a place to rent. We rented a house in Hollywood, 2 blocks off of Sunset, 2-bedroom house, little, and it was like there was 3 or 4 houses on like the grounds, and then there was a big long driveway, and then everybody had their own separate driveway, kind of the side. So there's like my house. I think there was 3 or maybe 4. So I had the front house and had a big, tall metal fence around it, right beside Valentino Park. 2-bedroom, 1 bath. It was a shack, kinda, but we only paid $700 or $750. What was it? 700? No, $700 for that. Now that house now, I don't even know. 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Who knows? Expensive. But yeah, I'm glad I got to see that. And then when I moved from there, I rented a 1-bedroom across from Paramount. I've told the story about, anyway. Then on the 3rd floor, I had the biggest, it was mostly studios or bachelors, but I had the biggest apartment in the place. And I think I was paying $390. Yeah, $390 for a 1-bedroom. I had the only 1-bedroom in the place, the biggest one on the 3rd floor, right across from the fire escape. Because there was 3 fire escape. No, yeah, 3. So my on the top, and we're always hanging out on the fire escape, and drinking beers and hanging out, looking over at Paramount. Don't look over here. What are we gonna do? Come on, we're watching you build the Flintstone mobile or something. Then the lady below me would crank her TV. Man, she was so loud, and people would complain. And she had been like a bit actor, like doing these bit parts back in the day. So this is like 98, 99, 98. I don't know if she had like a pension or something. But anyway, she was old, and she had been in like 3 Stooges movies, and Jeff Jones. What's up, Jeff Jones? But she would scoff. She'd be like, she was like old Hollywood, and she would watch her old friggin' reels, like whatever she was in, tapes. I guess she had them on tape or something, and she would crank them. They were so loud, and she had her door open, and it was cool. She had like leopard, everything was leopard and zebra and cheetah looking in there. She had to be 80, 90 years old. She was kind of rude, though. But I respected her. She still thought she was going to make it. That's one other thing. It's like these people were still around. I'm gonna get that role. Okay, shit. Keep. I mean, it's fun. I mean, she had fun too. And she'd scoff at me. One day I was coming in, and we had this big metal gate door. You had to have a key, and this big, it had a spring on it, so it was hard to open. It would just come slam, So I held it for her. I'm like, "How you doing?" She was like, like scoffed at me, like some kind of old school Hollywood scoffing. I'm holding the door for you, man. You come on. Yeah, but she'd been in a bunch of Three Stooges. Like she played the secretary in the Three Stooges or whatever the fuck she was in. You know, she had Three Stooges money. Say, hey. I love the Three Stooges. Don't get me wrong. And you run into people like that all over. They're just everywhere. Pardon me. They would. Sometimes you would go into a bar. I forgot the name of this bar. I'd go to these like old Hollywood bar. I'd been there forever. Bordner's and God. Anyway, every once in a while you would run into an old Hollywood. Sometimes I wouldn't even know their name. Like, what? Who are you? I was in John Wayne films or something. And they'd be buying drinks for everybody. They'd be holding court. They just wanted to be around young, creative people and hitting on you or whatever. And fuck it, man. They just like drink their booze. My favorite place to go in the early days in Hollywood was Hollywood Bowling Lanes. It was on Santa Monica. They shot The Big Lebowski there. How I knew about it is we shot part of the Beat Goes On, the Sonny and Cher movie there. And it had a little Chinese restaurant in it. Had a great, cool little bar. Had $2 beers. So that's what fuck. Yeah, here I am. This is my new, And you could smoke at a smoking lounge. And the jukebox. They had this old jukebox. You had to put like quarters in. It had nothing but Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. I thought that was the coolest fucking thing. All you could hear, you got another thing coming to that, run to the hill. It was so funny because they would play and it would like be white noise. So they're playing music out when the bowling, and there was no wall. And then we would be cranking the jukebox. It was amazing. Amazing. It was open 24 hours a day. I used to go buy my weed there. You could, or whatever. Me, I was just buying weed. I was there one night when they raided the place and for illegal gambling. Like, I guess degenerate gamblers will bet on anything. So they would hang out at the bar and they would bet on people that were playing that didn't know. And I guess that's how you can't fix it, is because these people that would show up and I don't even know how to do it, but they were betting on just patrons that are bowling. And these degenerate gamblers would like, I couldn't believe, because I knew some of these guys and I knew something was going on, but I was like, what the? And I was there the night they raided it. And they were asking me, I'm like, I don't fuck it. What? Betting on bowling? No. Perhaps it's going on. I don't know. Good times though. I mean, literally there was times I would like have some time off. I remember this one time, like I'd worked, I'd done something. I had a little bit of nest egg. And I went to bed early and I woke up like 3 a.m. and I was like, damn, I couldn't go back to bed. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to shower and go to the bowling lanes. Went, because I lived right around the corner, because I lived on Van Ness off of Santa Monica, and right between Santa Monica and Melrose. I didn't walk there. I drove there. It was packed at 3 a.m, whatever night. I had a great time. I stayed till like 6, 7 a.m. Maybe I don't know. It was daylight when I came out. I met like the craziest people at the bowling lanes. Like one night it was a Blackie Lawless of Wasp. Blackie Lawless of Wasp. I used to be a Wasp fan. I don't know if you guys know who Wasp is, but they were like a heavy metal kind of. He's this big old, I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. He was this huge dude. He was cool. He actually bowled. And then I met Rachel Hunter, the model. And she's talking about how she's going to divorce Rod Stewart. At the time, she was like married to Rod Stewart. You just never knew. So that was and then they tore that down. I was fucking pissed. And a lot of people were too, because they were trying to get it as a, again, I knew about this place because I'd worked there. We'd shot part of The Beat Goes On. It was a Sonny and Cher. It was NBC. So they had cordoned it off. We worked there for weeks. And then I started going there after we shot, hung out there for years. And then they closed it down to build a school. They built the school, and then later on, they tore that down too. this new school. See, it's a scam. I don't know how they do the scam, but they build and tear. And last time I drove by, it was a big fence. There was just gravel and like, why'd you tear down the bowling lanes? Lindsay. Hey, Lindsay. How you doing, man? Miss you too. Lindsay made this hat for me. Say hello to Lindsay. And the t-shirt I got somewhere. Jeff Jones, Wasp. Yeah. Blackie Lawless. Awesome. Huge. He's got to be 6'6". And big. Like he's just it's shocking how big some of these guys like what in the I'm 6'2". Like, dear Lord. And his presence. And he was in shorts. That's another thing. Seeing these guys, dude, in shorts, like, dear God. Lindsay, doing good. Glad to see you. Looking handsome as ever. Thank you. I look all haggard. Look at me. I had to wear my glasses. I'm so old. Well, let's see. I'm a son of a. But, you know, though, I don't even know. Like when last time, Hollywood has changed so much. I mean, like it's not what it was. Thank you. Love the glasses. Thank you. All the places everything's like these weird new places. I mean, I know I sound like an old, every generation, time marches on. But there are these old Hollywood famous, it brought in tourism and this, that, and the other. They just mowed through it all. We're going to build a super complex. And they were trying to make Hollywood proper where you couldn't even, they're going to buy up the roads. You couldn't even, I think Google was trying to do this, trying to zone it where they're going to put in these electric trains or something where you couldn't even drive. It was going to be a big Starbucks complex or some shit. Sushi. I don't even know. Jeff Jones, I'm the one getting old. It sucks. Yeah, it sucks. But there's still, when I left, they still let like people barter on Hollywood Boulevard. You can dress like Superman and take tips to take pictures. And there's still you can sell street food. That's what I love about Hollywood. Like it's still kind of funky, but it's all disappearing. And tell you a secret. Well, the street vendors, and some of them have these umbrellas. If you see the rainbow umbrella, that means you can buy drugs. Yeah. I probably shouldn't have said that, but yeah, that's a thing. And they are usually older. You wouldn't think that you can go and that's old. Maybe that's not even a thing, but that's what they were. You look for the yellow one. Because I didn't do drugs. Again, I was a drinker and I smoked herb. I didn't like cocaine. I didn't like heroin. I didn't like any of that. People used to try to give me, shit, drugs. But yeah, I'd leave a party if I saw, because you go to these mansion parties and a rich mansion party, they just set out blow cocaine, like sitting around every room, and people are stealing it. They're like taking off their cellophane from their cigarettes and fucking putting it in there. It's just stupid. And drugs in that environment. Pardon me. The other things might happen. If you're just drinking beer and smoking herb, that's bad enough. Drugs, that's I didn't like that. They have Trank now. I don't even know what that is. Probably bad. I would never leave a party like that. Yeah, you would. Never did crack. Crack is whack. Yeah, I've never smoked crack. I've never done meth. None of that. Never did any of that. But I've got a reputation where people think, you're the worst. I never did. I've known people that were drug dealers, and then they would tell people I was a drug dealer. What? I never sold any drugs. Horse tranquilizer. Dear God, stay away, Buddy Rich. No, you don't want to be in. If it's strong enough to knock down a horse, it'll kill 3 or 4 dudes or women, whatever. You don't want to. And now they lace everything with what is that called? You know what? LSD. Delphi Prime said, "How about LSD, Charlie?" When I was a teenager, I did LSD about. I did acid a few times, and it wasn't for me. I didn't like it. See, I hope you're not busy for the next 12 hours. Shit, it was just like, nyeh, nyeh, nyeh. I didn't like it. Fentanyl, yeah, you don't want to be in it. No, shit. A little like particle as big as like a piece of salt will kill us all. I have dear close friends that have died from fentanyl. A few. Yeah, that's sad. They cut it. Now they put fentanyl on everything. Prince died of fentanyl. And strange thing about Prince doing it, the tablet said something else, and it was fentanyl instead. Buddy Rich says, "Do you remember Lonnie Frisbee, LSD preacher?" No. Jeff Jones says, "Fentanyl rocks." Oh, come on. Never done fentanyl. Shit. I hear now they're lacing the weed with fentanyl. You gotta be careful. For you smokers out there, fuck. You don't want to be smoking fentanyl. It's just disgusting. It's a mental health issue when people are fucking fentanyl. Come on, man. Can't you just be happy? Good food, cook some good food, have a beer, smoke your herb or whatever. But people don't believe me, like, because right now all I do is I'll have beer, I'll drink beer. That's all I do, and smoke cigarettes. Yeah, go to the dispensary to be safe, Lindsay says. It's scary. Damn right it is. Don't be doing any drugs, man. Did you hear about this? It happened a few years back. There were these comedians in New York, and they'd all done like they'd worked at some kind of like, and they were known comedians. They'd done a show. There was like 3 or 4 of them, and then they went to an after party thinking they were doing coke, and they all died. Yeah, you don't want to fuck around and find out. Perhaps this is cocaine. No, you don't want to. Perhaps it's not. Shit. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend. Again, I was a rock and roller. I wanted to drink, not even whiskey. I was all about like drinking beer, have some beers. I'd smoke herb, I never was into that, man. Give me a second. I'll be right back. I again, this is like 2005, 2006, 2007. So I would buy my weed from this, like, he was a drug dealer to the stars, like a celebrity drug dealer. and they had a grow operation. So it was like this blue weed. It was awesome. So I'd buy weed from him. And what you would do is you'd meet him at a coffee shop, and then you would do the transaction. So he would put it in, it looked like a cigarette box. I don't know where he got all these cigarette fucking boxes, or he smoked a lot. Who knows? So you just do this kind of thing. You scoot the money with one hand. He hands you a pack of cigarettes, like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" kind of thing. And you sit there and for a minute or two, and bye. You're gone. So I went out the back of this restaurant or coffee shop, whatever it was, we were meeting. And I get to my car, so I'm wanting to check it out. But he'd have it wrapped. So I'm pushing on it, and I feel like these little stalagmites, like rocks. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, he gave me the wrong thing. I knew right away, like, this must be meth or some coke. I don't. Got out of my car, and I was walking back in. Here comes this celebrity. And she's like, "Excuse me, you know so-and-so?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "I think we got a mistake going on." "Oh, yeah, And I ended up being friendly with her. I couldn't believe that what she was shit. And she had my weed. I had her fucking whatever it was. So we switched, and dumb. People were like, "Oh, you should have just left and sold it." Man, I ain't gonna who am I gonna sell that to? Weed was different in our time. Lindsay says weed was different in our time. Me and my friends would smoke a joint. We would laugh about nothing for an hour straight. Yeah, that's when it was fun. It wasn't like, people used to line me out cocaine all the time after gigs and stuff like this. And after, even before I got to LA, even when I was in Love Engineer, fans want to give you or try to, wouldn't it? No. I just, as a singer, cocaine would like fuck up my throat and nose. And I had friends, I had friends that would, do that. And I had friends that were drug dealers too. I mean, shit. I almost rented a place in Hollywood. I was looking for, I was telling people, "Hey, I'm looking for a place." Long story short, I don't want to say much, but they were like, "Oh yeah, you can live in our place," and it was on the cheap. I'm like, "Wow, cool!" And I went, "Oh, this is great." But it was basically empty. I'm like, "Well, are you guys?" There was two guys. Like, "Are you going to live here?" "Oh, no. We just have it." Like, what? And then I found out that it was a safe house. Like they stored their shit there, but they needed some poor bastard to. I don't even know. And I was pissed when I found out. I was like, "Dude, you trying to like? Well, we didn't think you'd figure it out. We didn't know. Yeah, they come rob a fucking drug house. Here I am living there with my dog or something. Fuck you." I was super pissed. I never talked to him again. Like, don't try to do that kind of shit to me. I mean, we were friends, I thought. Yeah, they wanted me to live there to look over the place or whatever. Yeah, cocaine's not a good thing. Again, I was never into that. I was on the Warner lot, like Warner Brothers studio lot. I think I've told this to, I can't say much about it, but you're there and you got like a line producer. They're telling you who, the people you meet on, and you got to sign paperwork every day when you come in. Anyway, so you meet and they were like, I'm not going to say what they were, but like, "Oh, here's so-and-so. So you can rely, on them." And, So for the first week, this person was like professional. But then after they get to know you, whatever, and he came up to me, he's like, "Hey man, you need anything?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "No, I mean, do you need anything?" I'm like, "No, I don't need anything. I'm SAG. I'm the screen. We got holding over there. I can go to the hold. They got every kind of lollipop, and they even have beer and food." He's like, "Well, I'm holding." And hold, he's holding. That's a term. That's a slang. He's got dope. I was like, "What?" And he opened his jacket and pulled out this like leather bound. Anyway, unzipped. Dude, he had everything. He had clean syringes, and I was like, "Son of a bitch!" And he was like the lot drug dealer under the guise of some kind of. He was a nice guy. I'm going to say anything. But he knew that was. Oh, he was like, "Oh, I thought you." No, no, because I have tattoos, and they probably thought that. No, I'm not. I will have a beer though. It's weird how they don't want you to drink, yet there's beer there for you. Well, if you don't want me to fucking drink, don't put out a goddamn 6 cases of Stella. Shit. I got fired off stuff from live and learn. Live and learn. But yeah, reform Wildman. Again, all I do is I'll have a like the dine. I work now, so today was not as brutal as it can be, but this past week after I did my podcast on Friday, man, I was sick on Saturday and Sunday, and today I'm feeling a bit better. Had a rough, and this is another thing. I got health issues. I've got a neck and back injury. I can't take an NSAID for pain, so I can't take aspirin or Advil. What I have, I have bleeding ulcer. I was lacerated. I got typhus. It lacerated my guts inside. Pardon me. I'd have surgery. So NSAIDs will open those up, and I might bleed out. Oh shit! You don't want to be bleeding from internally. It's the most pain you anyway. So when I'm in pain, I pulled my back. Also, I have a hernia. So my doctor said, "Have a beer." I usually only drink like once a week, but man, I'm hurting, so I was like, "I'm gonna have a beer," and I'll go live. Why not? I like podcasting. Again, I quit doing it every day. I used to do it like every day for like 9 months straight, 300 in a row. Didn't miss a day. Everybody knows. I got hacked, trolled. I got this, that, the other. I mean, they anyway, quit doing it. Now I'm going to do it sporadically whenever I feel like it. Chef Jones had a chunk of meat come out of my nose after a Coke binge that was huge. Brain tissue, perhaps? Fucking probably. Dude, don't do that. Don't have a Coke. When was this? Yesterday? I don't know. Yeah, you sure didn't miss a day. That was so much pressure from me. I mean, shit. I thought that I would have been more popular. I thought that like I would have more of a following. No, said the YouTube people. And the algorithm like really hates me. And I know now it wasn't a person. It's an AI algorithm, man. Like they just it's so sophisticated now. It's hard. I'm not a creative guy, but I know now that. And I was being trolled and this, that, and the other. But I smoke. I'm old. I talk about shit. Most people they censor themselves. And I do censor myself. Believe me, because man, that's what I was trying to do to get my podcast popular enough that I would start to have some income coming in from it. That I could buy my own like server and website and this, that, and the other, and I could tell the truth about certain, but I can't. I mean, I can't afford to do it. And I'm glad. Maybe that's a good thing. Yeah, because I was getting like crazy shit. I don't know, man. By the time I quit, I would get like threatening email in my Gmail, threatening emails. Then I would try to show them to people, and they would disappear. Like, how do you get rid of someone's email? A Gmail. That's when it was like an algorithm. Lindsay says it doesn't matter. You have a loyal fan base. Thank you. Yeah, you know what? I have a small but loyal fan base. That's cool. It's small, but it's really loyal. Jeff Jones, hell yeah, I gotta have my Charlie Greer action. Thank you. Trolls have nothing better to do. Yeah. I feel sorry for him. You know, trolls. But revenge from Kim Kardashian. I met Kim Kardashian before she was a God, when did I it must have been like right before or the first season. I met her and all the other there's their family, there's a bunch of them. Not just the ones you know, but there's like those Kardashian, those they're Armenian, their cousin. There's a fucking battalion element of them. Kim is really short. I mean, I'm tall, but man, she's really short. You know what? She was nice. She tipped good. I mean, I worked at at the time I managed an art gallery that was connected to a salon and an esthetician where they wax and celebrities would go there. So I started I was managing the art gallery and there's a bar in there and um, they wanted me to, hey, move over to the front counter, the epicenter. So we need help. You know, when you're not, the gallery is slow, you can work. And I ended up just doing, and they working me, but so they would come in. It was like 2006 that I met the Kardashians and I checked them in. And at the time I was dating the master esthetician. She did all the waxing. And they were, you know, I remember Kim, she just like come by, like looking at, she just give you this look like, what the hell? You know, she's small. And there's the tall one. What's her name? Fuck, I don't know. And then I'd see them. I'd run around. They, what was that? There was a Mexican restaurant on, is it Lancashire or Sherman Way? I forgot the name of it. It's one of my favorites. And, well, by then I got, hi, you know, they would come in and I've told this story where she was dating Reggie Bush, this football player. But you know what? The Kardashians, they were always cool to me. I got to tell you, they were always, they talk in unison. Hi, wait, yeah, it's you know, it's just, dear God. But there's a bunch of them. Forget the ones that are on TV. They've got family and cousins and this, that, and the other. And they're all these beautiful women. Man, there's got to be 40 to 100 of them. I mean, this one Mexican restaurant, again, it was on Lancashire, I think. I forgot what it's called. Casa something. And my girlfriend, or actually fiance, we'd go there. Anyway, the Kardashians had the half of the place going on, I guess, for the reality show or something. Reggie Bush was there. I met Reggie Bush that night. And and I've told the story. I went to the bathroom. And of course, in LA, there's the line. You're waiting for like half an hour. And on the other side, the bathrooms are always together. So the one line was the guys, the other were the girls. And it was I didn't even know what was going on. I knew it was cordoned off. I couldn't go over there, but all these girls waiting in line and they recognized me. They're like, hey, Charlie. I'm like, hey, because they weren't that famous. I mean, I didn't even know they had a show. Like, where's Lisa? Oh, I shouldn't say. Well, anyway, where's my fiance? I'm like, well, she's at the bar. And we're looking over, we could see her there, like, come on over. And she wouldn't, for some reason, wouldn't come over. That's when there was dozens of these Armenian girls. all just look like movie stars. Really nice though. They're always cool to me. So was Reggie Bush. Uh, then I went back to the bar to my fiance. She's like, "What are you doing? I saw you talking. You're flirting." I'm like, "No, I'm not. They're your clients. You need to go over there. I don't want to mix pleasure with or business with you. You don't want to." We were waiting for our food because it was so packed. We went to the bar and they let you order the food at the bar, and it took like an hour for us to get our food. Um, they're flirting with you. You're flirting with them. I was like, no. I didn't know. Again, I didn't know who they were. I knew this is what I knew. I knew her father. Their father was the. I knew them was they were. Their father was the O.J. Simpson lawyer. This is before, and then like a year later, it's like, oh, those are the girl. That's them. So it had to be like the first year or the year before that show started. Yeah, always nice to me. Talking in unison. Hi. They would say like there was a 30 of them. Like what the like the Borg or something. Um, they came to an art show because shit. Short, like midgets or little people, whatever. But I should have networked more. I should have networked more with. I didn't know. I didn't. I didn't. For one, I could give a shit, and I just wasn't into that whole. For what they dress nice and they smell good and they're doing all that. I didn't. I had like a leather jacket on, and I used to be skinnier. And pardon me, like I was kind of like a hipster underground kind of guy. Lindsay, you're funny as hell. Well, thank you. I should have. And I okay, I forgot about that. This is so stupid. So, my girlfriend, my fiance, we were engaged. We were so it was a art gallery, salon, uh, esthetician, whatever you want to call it. It was like anyway. Uh, the owner was like, because I was the only guy that worked there with like there was 20 something girls. Like you can't, nobody's dating anybody. You can't break. They were serious because you don't want to be frat night. She's like had a, like a rule. She's like, don't be hitting on Charlie. Charlie, don't be hitting on these girls. It's profession. It's about business, money, blah blah blah. Okay, so we kept it under wraps that me and my, so we were dating, and then we got engaged and we got out. So the owner fired us, me and my fiance, called us up different. It was a matter of fact, we both had a day off and they called us separately and fired us. Well, are you kidding me over us being engaged? Yeah, you get. So Lindsay, Charlie, saw your Facebook pics back in the day. You were hot, still a brother. Thank you. Yeah, I was a looker. So we get fired. Of course, my fiance, she's a master esthetician at the start. She just went to another, salon, whatever they were called. But I needed a job. And I shit you not. She's like, hey, the Kardashians have like a production company, and they've got like this line of God knows what makeup, and I don't even know. They'll interview you. So I I go, and this was in like Studio City or somewhere, North Hollywood, or I don't even know. Anyway, it was in the Valley, and it must have been owned by Kim Kardashian. She wasn't there. I get there, and I was out of place. I think I even wore my leather jacket, like, and there's these dudes. They're like, "How did you get in here?" should we even interview you? They're rude about it. I'm like, well, yeah, my fiance is so and so. We know the Kardashian. She's like, well, you're not gonna. There's no way we can hire you. I was like, I get it. I totally get it. And there was pictures of Kim everywhere, and obviously it was her business. But it was some kind of distribution. I don't even know what the fuck. She wasn't there, so I didn't get the job. Well, hell, I knew. I was like, there's no way I could work here. Look at me. I get around you guys and like all your skinny pants and Lindsay, I don't know why you didn't model. You know what? I did model a little bit. Way back in the day, like the early 2000s. Like I had it. I had two agents, and they'd send me on, and they asked me like, "Hey, you can make money modeling," and I was like, "Well, there's no fucking way. I'm not a model. I'm an artist. I'm this, that, and the other." And so, times get tough. I'd come like, "Hey, I'll I'll do these modeling things," but I never made. Okay, so I made 75 an hour doing some modeling, and then unresolved crime, Frank. Yo, you ain't a model. But I did like haggard kind of modeling, like these like clothing modeling, and one was a farm model. Well, I was in like these overalls and I had like barbed wire around my shoulder. 75 an hour, shit. A long day. Fuck, you make like 750 a day. Or sometimes it's a buyout. Like, hey, we'll give you like $5,000 to come for 3 or 4 days for this campaign. You got to switch out clothes. And this is another thing about modeling. Like, so they use these metal clamps and they clamp you from like the spine down all around your arms and the back. So everything looks like totally svelte and stiff all down your legs. And you have to like stand there, you do these kind of, so your clothes look all like no wrinkles, That takes forever for them to put those clamps on. It's all fucking smoke and mirrors. And one time I was in these, and then you can't move. You're like with these clamps, and I don't even know what I was thinking. I sat down in a chair, and those clamps went into my back. I was like, yeah. Yeah, I did some modeling. Yeah, I mean, if you do a deep dive, you can probably find that shit. But that was years ago, almost going on 20 years. It was on 2003. I know it was like 2003. I did do some modeling, but for like rock and roll or like this, if you needed some kind, because I have tattoos, I'd be like in a tank top. I think on my Facebook there are some modeling pictures. Like I was like they call it the heavy. So if you're like the bad guy or some kind of thing, and I would do, yeah, I did that. I needed the fucking money. Shit, it's embarrassing. But no, I never had because believe it or not, I had agents in LA, Nashville, St. Louis, I had it all over. It was way back in the day. Not now. I mean, look at me. And then you don't I used to get into arguments with these people. I was almost a stand-in for Alec Baldwin, all this shit. Again, at the time, it's like nothing. I've been in LA for a long time. A stand-in is someone who stand-ins make good money. You don't want to be a stand-in, but man, for the money, fuck yeah, I do want to be a stand-in, And it had to do with so this is the thing. Most of the wardrobe houses in LA are for most of it breaks down to the population. Most guys, this is the truth, 5'9", they wear a size 9 shoe. That's what I'm saying. All these rock stars, actors, they get a role because they can fit in the fucking wardrobe. I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. There is no special fit or go find shit for me. So they'd rather give it to some dude that's like, and put him on a fucking wood crate to stand by some tall woman. All those, and that was heartbreaking to know these kind of like behind the scenes secrets were like, you're not going to get the role because you're just you're huge. We can't fit. It's easier because, again, to this day, when I try to find, I wear a 13 shoe. I can't find any fucking shoes. I go to a shoe store. There's all these fucking shoes. You go to the 13s, there's 4 shoes. And they're usually like basketball shoes or something. Like, I don't going to wear that. What the fuck? It's just the law of averages, the odds. Like, most people are fucking 5'9" to men. Okay, I watch MMA. They were talking about this past, Saturday, that what is it? The division where they're 145 is the most packed division, and those guys are 5'9", 145. They said there was Killer's Row. That's where it's the most difficult division because that's where most guys are that fucking size. Shit. I wish I was 5. That's why Scotty Beers, he was 5'9". He wore a size 9 shoe. I've known so many where guys were just, it's again, the wardrobe houses are full of, I mean, most guys are that's the average. Nothing bad. I'm not trying to complain. It is what it is. How you been, Frank? I need to come on and do a podcast with you. And no, I was. You were saying like, the last time we talked, I was being hacked. I was being trolled. I was being like, they stole my Cash App. I couldn't even. My computer wouldn't work. That's why I quit doing my podcast, man. I got tired of all this shit. I'm telling you, man, they were stealing my mail. I don't know who it was. They stole my car title. I got to get another car. I haven't talked about this, but I don't know what the fuck happened or why they'd come at me, but the Kardashian, they were stealing my fucking shit. It was stupid. Pardon me. So I took tail and ran. As a matter of fact, I moved. I'm not even where I was at. I totally changed my life. I get to that point where, like, you know what? Go fuck yourself, kind of thing. But I miss doing my podcast. It was brutal doing it every day. It's hard to have a job when you do a podcast every day. I did. I was working too. I don't have any money coming. I went through my savings. I thought I had enough to, like, maybe for a year. I had a nest egg. No, I went through that. I thought I would do, because I even researched it. Like, if most people get like monetized in 6 months, not me. I was like, I'll do it for a year. I did it for 9 months. I did it for 300 in a row. I was like, I can't do this anymore. The thrill was gone. It was hard for me to get my groove on, knowing I'm dealing with this kind of adversity. And nobody wants to hear that shit. I mean, fuck. Again, this happened Friday. As we're doing this, my likes are going down. I don't know what the fuck it. I can see how many likes I'm getting, and then it's just like, they're going down. I mean, are people liking it? And they're like, no, I don't like it. I don't know, but I miss California. Well, I miss the old California. Now, they outlawed menthol cigarettes. You can't buy menthol cigarettes. My friends are calling me, like, trying to get me to send them menthol cigarettes. Got to get Yeezy on this situation. I never met Yeezy. Never saw him. But yeah, my friends are like, can you get me menthol cigarettes and send them? Well, maybe, perhaps I could illegally send you. Can you imagine getting arrested? Oh, you're a cigarette smuggler or something. A menthol cigarette smuggler. In Massachusetts too, Lindsay says. Yeah. Cigarettes are cheap in Missouri. I'm living in Missouri now. $2 a pack. What the fuck? In Illinois, they were like $7 a pack, the cheapest ones. And I need to quit smoking. Fuck. So yeah, I think that I'm gonna get out of here. I've been doing an hour and a half. Dear God. Huh? Time goes by. But I love y'all. Again, I'll probably do it Friday. Again, I don't know how many of these I'll do. But I'm gonna keep doing, I'm gonna come back. I'm back. Lindsay, I have family there, and every time we go there, my cigarette panics because she smokes Newports. You can't, yeah, Newport. You people are like, that's what send me Newport. That's what my buddies in LA were. We just send them Newports. And I'm gonna mail this Newport. But I've been doing this for an hour and a half. I gotta get out of here. But I love y'all. Love you, Lindsay. Be blessed. Cheers.